Firearms Legal Protection offers viewers of this channel state-specific discounts, and you can activate those by using my code or visiting the VSO-specific link on the affiliates page. You know, I've seen a lot of cracks lately, and I feel like it's my responsibility to at least try to smooth some of this over. So here we go. Principles exist for the purposes of setting a standard by which to live. Y'all have heard that you should have standards, right? At least your mom told you at one point in time that you should have standards. Boys, I'll give you one really quick. Never date the village people. To be eligible, she ought to have a different 5-digit zip code. And if possible, a different area code would be nice, but that's optional. Trust me, this will save you a lot of problems. Anyway, the principle is simple. You cannot deprive someone of their constitutionally protected, God-given, inalienable rights without due process. This is enshrined in the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, and it reads as follows. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdictions thereof are citizens of the United States and the states wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. And I'll leave sections 2 through 5 up on screen so that you can browse them really quickly, but that's the relevant section. Tampering with the edges of that is dangerous territory. And I understand that the average person today is considerably more intelligent than they were back in the time of the founding. However, a great deal of care from learned individuals at the time was taken to ensure that this thing didn't run wild. If you've got a sound foundation, you don't muck with it. You can bolt things onto it, but generally speaking, it's a bad idea to just start taking blocks out. If you need a recent example of why that's critical, whether you like the guy or not, or whether you think he did the things that they said that he did, Andrew Tate has been incarcerated in a country that does not have these protections without trial for 3 months. He was released this past week under house arrest pending investigation, as in indefinitely. It doesn't matter if we're talking about free speech, the Second Amendment, the Fourth, Fifth, or even the 10th Amendment. I've seen a lot of people in the past few weeks from various persuasions on a whole bunch of different issues that are holding positions that are diametrically opposed to each other depending on who the standard is being applied to. And that's not good. That's really bad. I have a technique that I use to check myself on whether or not I'm falling into the trap of identity politics. And I'm going to share it with you so that you can keep yourself from going down that spiral. And it goes something like this. Whenever you have a position on something or you have a knee-jerk response to something, insert someone that you care about into that position and see if you still hold those views. Since this is a Second Amendment channel and it's the most logical place to start, we'll just start with red flag laws. If you suddenly find yourself thinking that individuals should be disarmed simply because they're suffering from gender dysphoria, then what line have you crossed? Now every soldier that's been in combat and is fighting with those demons should be left defenseless. Didn't push the line far enough for you? What about victims of domestic violence that are suffering from PTSD? What about somebody who's recently lost a cherished loved one and is a little bit depressed? Maybe somebody's grieving because their dog just got hit by a car. What if somebody has a seasonal affective disorder? Where is the line? The line currently, if we consult the 4473 question 21F, have you ever been adjudicated as mentally defective, or have you ever been committed to a mental institution? Due process. You can insert any other political situation that you find. I don't particularly care for Donald Trump. I think that he's a Second Amendment traitor, but you can insert anyone else's name into that situation. Maybe it's DeSantis. I can't really think of any Democrats to list that would apply, but perhaps your governor, although in my situation that doesn't work because Mike DeWine is also a traitor. But what about your mayor, for instance? Or you could shift to the situation with the meme master that was recently convicted for having a really effective meme. Insert somebody that you care about. I can't really think of any leftists that make good memes. Well, it's because they don't exist. Anyway, my point is that should such an anomaly be found, do you feel the same way should you insert that person into the situation of miscarriage of justice as the person that you have been conditioned to be politically adverse to? Now, in closing today, I understand that many of you are not religious, and that's okay. I never try to force my faith on anyone. However, it is a holy week for me and my faith, and there's a secular lesson to be applied to what we're talking about here today. Go back 2,000 years to the land of Judea, and you, depending on what lens of history you look through, you might say that the system of government resembles the federalism that we used here in the United States, in that there is an overarching supreme government that was Rome at the time, and then there's a local government that deals with the people at the street level, and that in that time was the Sanhedrin. Now, the Sanhedrin had several rules that governed its operations. One of the most prolific ones is the only meeting during the daytime, which, if you're familiar with the story of the execution of Jesus, then you'll know that that one was broken. But they broke multiple rules in the whole process of illegally murdering one of their citizens. Now, this is a gross simplification for the sake of brevity, but the powers of the Sanhedrin were substantially limited, particularly in at least in the case of the low Sanhedrin, did not have the capacity to prescribe a capital punishment. They had to go to the Romans to be able to get that. So if you also look at the Roman side, the province of Judea was, through any way that you look at it, the place that political careers went to die. You got assigned that governorship if you made somebody mad and they wanted you to go away. This was a political punishment. So if you look at the governor in the area, Pontius Pilate, he really had two things on his mind. First, I just want to do this political appointment, get it over with, and get out of here. And then the second thing that was chief in his mind is that ineptitude in office could be considered a capital offense as well. Why did I bring that one back? So he really wants to keep the peace. What you end up with, if you distill it all down, is that the people that did not have the power to directly impact a political opponent poked and prodded at the gaps in the system to punish someone that essentially called them bad names. And they were able to accomplish this because the people under them and around them were indoctrinated to follow. Don't be a follower. Unless, of course, you're following the VSO Gun Channel, in which case you find all the buttons down below.